Hello all, this is the H.O.P.E initiative coming out with another installment of the Beethoven Sonatas project. I'm Lucas Amory, and I'll be conducting interviews of each of the members participating in Ludwig van Beethoven's Opus 28 Sonata in D major, which is also commonly referred to as the Pastorale Sonata. Conveniently, there are 4 members in this particular group, and each one of them is contributing a different movement from this sonata. So, super excited to see what they each have to say. This particular sonata isn't played as often. Part of the reason is that the Moonlight Sonata is the one that comes right before this, so it's very easy for this one to be overshadowed from its predecessor. For those who don't know Beethoven, musicologists tend to divide his output into an early, a middle, and a late stage compositional period. Of the 32 piano sonatas, the Pastorale is the 15th, and this is known as the very last one of his early sonata periods. Okay, we're going to share it to the group, and people should be here relatively soon. Let me just find the link. I don't know where it is. What the hell? Hello! Did you bring your dog? I want to see your dog.
Oh my god.
He knew he was being summoned and he ran away.
Okay.
If you want to introduce yourself, go right ahead. Say whatever you feel is relevant.
Hi, I'm Josie, and I'm a junior from the Bay Area. I love dogs and boba, and when I'm not playing piano, I enjoy writing and baking and hiking.
So how old are you, and who do you study with, and how long have you been playing the piano, and who's your teacher? Sorry, that's a lot at once.
I'm 17, and I'm studying with Professor H.O.P.E, and I've been with him since I was 7, but I've been playing piano for 14 years.
Is playing the piano something you're interested in for a career?
Probably not like as a soloist, but I would be interested in maybe teaching because I'm thinking of dualing music with science because I'm interested in pre-med and I still want to use music to help patients.
I read up about this clarinetist who studied at MSM recently, and then she went on to be a doctor, and now she's dealing with like COVID patients. So many people end up going off in so many other different tracks.
I think it builds up a lot of good characters, patience, and I don't know, self-motivation, determination to make things perfect. Because when you're practicing, I think you need a lot of that focus.
Personally, and also in regards to your musical sort of career / lifestyle, how's quarantine been for you, and how has it sort of upended or stabilized certain things?
I think it's made my practice schedule more chaotic. The good thing is that I have more time to practice.
Do you have trouble with motivation at all sometimes?
Sometimes, but I think what helps is like listening to YouTube like videos, even if you can't go to concerts, because I feel like you can draw a lot of inspiration from different people's interpretations and kind of relate that to what you're doing and see how you can like change based on other people's playing.
In regards to this particular sonata, this is the Opus 28, and how long have you been working on it?
I think it's been a while, maybe like 2 years.
2 years.
It's been a piece that I've played and like brought back sort of thing. Like I'm not always like working on it. So I don't have a definite time frame since it's been a while. But it's definitely a piece that I really enjoy and feel strongly about.
Which movement are you recording?
I have the first movement. Technically, it isn't as complex as, say, other sonatas. I feel like it can be kind of hard to grasp the feeling, especially in the opening 2 bars, I would say, like especially when juggling the left hand Ds with like your voicing, you have to kind of balance out like which voices you want to hear, because you want to hear like kind of a mixture of both left hand and right hand, because they really bring about the colors. So I think that to me is a big challenge.
And is this something that was pre-recorded, or did you spontaneously record it for this particular project?
It was pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded? So from how long ago?
A year ago. Technically, it isn't as complex as, say, other sonatas.
In the left hand, it plays alone for 2 bars at the very beginning, and it sort of sets the tone of the piano. As pianists, we all have to be used to playing on different pianos. So would you say in a way it's easier to figure out in the span of those 2 bars what this piano is really about, so that sort of prepares your right hand entrance immediately afterwards?
I think it can, but at the same time, I feel like it's also difficult to start. If it's a piano that requires more pressing, but you're trying to make it sound soft, sometimes it doesn't sound. It really depends on like the type of piano, but I feel like it does help you get a sense of what the piano is like.
What are some of your favorite Beethoven sonatas? Just like off the top of your head.
Okay, I love Opus 109. I've been listening to people play it a lot, and also number 12. It's the one with variations.
That's Opus 26.
Yes, and Opus 10 number 3, and Opus 2 number 2.
What other Beethoven sonatas have you worked on in the past?
I've worked on Opus 2 number 2, Opus 7, Opus 14 number 2, something like that.
That's G major?
Yes, yes.
How would you say you treat playing Beethoven differently from playing other composers?
Okay, my favorite composer is Chopin. I feel like with Beethoven, it's really all about the contrast. To me, I feel like I'm just trying to create like a bunch of contrast and a bunch of like vivid characters to help me like really imagine that. But for Chopin, it's a lot like less temperamental. Like even if Chopin is temperamental, there's kind of like a limit to how much you can go. But to me, Beethoven feels like you can just kind of like take out your anger.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Chopin's much more melodic and really concentrated on one melody at any given time. Thank you so much, Josie, for your time. This was fun. All right, this was great. Yeah. Hi. I'm
Hi.
Lucas. You're Deanna. Is that right?
Yeah.
Deanna, great. Where in California are you from?
I'm actually from Seattle, but I was in about like east of LA for college before I had to come home. So,
Oh, gotcha. So, what year in college are you now?
I just finished my first year at Pomona.
Pomona.
That's
So you're 19 then?
19. Yep.
How long have you been playing the piano?
I started in winter of 2007, so quick
Hmm.
math, 12 and a half years.
Did you study at any private institution? Like, was there any program, or were you just studying privately with a teacher?
I just did private lessons.
Is playing the piano professionally something you're interested in, would you say?
No, it's always been like more like a hobby. I'm a current public policy analysis and economics major with a minor in
Wow.
politics.
Okay.
One of my theories is that like in an alternate universe, I'd be a concert pianist.
Apart from your daily piano practice, how else would you say your life has been affected in regards to your work?
I finished school about 2 weeks ago, and since then I've like just been feeling useless. There's really nothing for me to do. I practice piano, I work out. I've been trying to follow Chloe Ting workouts. They're real hard. The most exercise I got when I was at college was like I'd walk 4 miles a day. But then since coming home, I just sit around and don't do anything. So I've definitely slacked off. I make bread now.
Like
Never
sourdough
did that before
or
quarantine.
something?
I've made like loaves of bread every other day. My family loves it because now like they don't have to go to the store to get bread. But
Yeah.
we are running out of flour, so that's a small problem. I've made baguettes, just Dutch oven loaves. I've made a lot of banana bread. Yeah, I just actually tried out a new recipe where I added Greek yogurt. And, well, I kind of screwed up. I made it way too dense, so the outside was burnt, but the inside wasn't quite cooked.
Oh, I mean, it's fine because you redeemed yourself with like all the other 15 loaves that you've made.
Yeah.
Which movement in the sonata are you contributing to?
I'm working on the second movement.
Second movement. That's a slow one.
Yep,
Right? Yeah.
Andante.
Okay. How long have you been working on Opus 28?
It's been about 2 months now, I'd say.
What are some like the technical or physical challenges that make this movement particularly challenging?
Personally, for me, I find it really hard when two hands are doing something completely different in terms of like the style of playing. For the second movement, the left hand is primarily in staccato 16th notes, while the right hand alternates between like quarter notes and eighth notes, and they're all legato. So for me, that's like really difficult because the staccato means I can't have any pedal, whereas the legato forces me to try and connect most of the notes. Really difficult for me since I have pretty small hands. Like I can barely reach a ninth.
Like, as pianists, pedal is sort of our sugar coating. It really exposes your like your sense of tone, for example. Overall, what would you say makes this particular sonata of Beethoven's really unique among his output?
I'd say just like overall, in terms of the second movement, the way I've been interpreting it is that it's just like a slow kind of like funeral march, especially with the 16th notes contributing to that march with our current political climate and like just like the climate around the world. It kind of feels apt since it's just like everything seems like it's really slow, but also at the same time because it's like there's a 16th note melody that's happening before you know it, you're at the end of the piece, which is kind of how I felt because it's June.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I can't believe it's June. I feel like I've done nothing this entire year.
What are some of your favorite Beethoven sonatas?
The first Beethoven sonata I played with Pathetique, and that's definitely going to be like one of my favorites overall just because I have such a special place in my heart for it. It was like it's not only like one of the first pieces I played, but it's also one of the first pieces I played when I switched over to my old teacher, Sasha Starcevich. So it was like, not only was I learning a whole new style of like Beethoven than I was previously exposed to, I was also learning like a whole new style of teaching.
Right, so you were like, a lot of the stuff that you had to correct, like foundationally, you were able to apply to the sonata.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when I first learned it, it was still like really hard since I was trying to correct some of the things that like I didn't even know were wrong with like the way I played in terms of like posture and pedaling. But like now that I'm back home and I have nothing to do, I've been playing through it again, and I've just like, if I hear like how I play it now and I compare it to how I played it 4 years ago, it's just there's such a big difference, and it's just so cool being able to see that.
What other pieces are you working on at the moment?
I'm working on Brahms' Rhapsody. I can't remember which one, which is really bad. But I've also been just practicing the Beethoven Sonata.
I really respect that you're able to like limit yourself to like a few pieces and really focus on them, because that's really more productive in the long run, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. When I was back in high school and I was taking private piano lessons with my teacher, like not only did I have to do, like I had to manage my time really well, and I think being able to do that also carried on to when I went to college. And like I can see it because like now while I'm only taking like 4 classes a semester, it's like the work that I have to do is way more than like anything I've done in high school. And it just like the experience I had in high school balancing the two like carried on to me in college, and it's really helpful.
That's great. Are there any last comments or disclaimers or personal anecdotes you want to add?
Um,
Or
well, disclaimer,
no.
my hands aren't big, so a lot of the times the right hand might be a little jumpy, way more jumpy than I would like, especially since I can't have any pedal. This piece is just something I've been working on while being stuck at home.
Mm-hmm.
Practicing it was like a way for me to escape what's happening right now. And I feel like I'm going to look back on this piece in like 4 or 5 years and just realize that I'll be really happy that I learned it. So I would had something to keep me busy.
All right. Thank you so much. It was fantastic talking to you, Deanna.
Thank you so much.
Great. See ya.
Bye.
Hello, Karina.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Karina Tseng. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I just graduated from high school, and I'll be an incoming freshman at the Eastman School of Music this fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many years have you been playing the piano?
I started when I was 6, so I just hit my 11th year. Currently, I'm studying with Olya Katzman, and in the fall, I'll be studying with Professor Alexander Coburn.
So is playing the piano professionally something you're interested in?
Hopefully, we'll see where it goes.
Are you pursuing something outside of piano?
So I am going to be in the dual degree program, and so that'll be 2 bachelor degrees, obviously one in piano performance, and then the other most likely in business or possibly economics. So we'll see.
Great. That's with University of Rochester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. How's quarantine been for you? Like, how's it sort of shifted a lot of things in both your musical and your personal life? If you're comfortable with sharing that.
Sure. Obviously there's a lot more free time, so a lot more free time to practice. And because audition season's now over, I had a complete restart of rep. That was really refreshing. So this Beethoven Sonata I just started with the start of quarantine pretty much.
Which movement are you contributing?
Third movement.
Third movement, gotcha, nice. So what other rep are you working on at the moment?
Other rep. Chopin First Concerto. I mean,
It's a big one. Yeah.
I would like to get it done sometime in my next 5 years, so I was like, why not start it now? And I was really sad that the Chopin competition got moved because I was like,
oh no.
Would be so cool to work on it and see that happening at the same time, but it's okay.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I'm doing some rock etude tableau and the sonata. I'm doing some Bach and a few Chopin etudes.
Wow,
Seems like everyone's going back to Chopin etudes now. I started it in March.
That's good.
So we're almost hitting 3 months now.
You've tackled all 4 movements by this time?
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. That's really productive. I wish I had that resolve. What would you say are some of the really tricky things in this movement to pull off?
Technique-wise, the octaves in the trio and the left hand. That took a little bit of time to figure out. It's obviously the shortest movement, and so there's not as much difficulty. I think also just since it's so repetitive, just making sure that there's something fresh with every single measure that's going on.
Gotcha. Overall, what would you say makes this particular sonata something unique in Beethoven's output?
At most of my lessons, when my teacher has been working on this with me, she always mentions Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, and I think it's kind of like an oasis. Is it oasis or oases?
Oasis.
I don't want to say it wrong.
I assume she brings up the Sixth Symphony. I mean, they're both called Pastorale or Pastoral.
Yeah, just in terms of all Beethoven sonatas, this sonata just really sticks out. It has such a unique opening and from the very first measure of the first movement and all the way through. It's just so calming and so grounded.
How would you say you treat playing Beethoven a little bit differently from when you play other composers?
A lot of structure-based thinking, especially when I'm just analyzing the score really foundationally. Seeing the whole score, obviously, as more like an orchestra or a symphony, and just picking apart the parts in different layers and different instruments. If not, then sometimes chamber ensembles, so string quartets, things like that.
Oh yeah, that's really smart. Beethoven and his string quartet output, that's kind of essential. Like the early period, the middle period and the late period, they're all very they're very clear cut in both the sonatas and the string quartets. We're almost done here. I would just want to ask, is there any last thing you want to share about your experience with this sonata? Thank you so much for your time. I had great fun talking to you, and I have to go ahead and call the next person in.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for talking, and I'll see you around. Andrew, hello. If you would care to give your little bit background info about yourself before I start on the questions.
So my name is Andrew Zhao, and I'm from San Diego, California. I've lived here since I was 5, and I also started playing piano around the time that I moved to San Diego. I'm 19 years old now, and I'm a second year at, a rising third year at Pomona College, where I'm studying public policy analysis, but also minoring in music. So I'm kind of keeping these 2 tracks. Definitely for like most of my life, I was like pretty involved with piano, but in high school, like I started to enter competitions, and I also studied at the pre-college at the Colburn School for 2 years, Colburn Music Academy.
Yes.
And yeah, I had the great honor of doing that.
Just curious, what does public policy analysis involve?
It kind of looks different for like different majors at my school at Pomona College. For me, what I concentrated in is politics, which is probably like the most broad category. There's a lot of intersections kind of with political science. Like we take classes about like, American politics and like international politics, and like look into like specific issues that arise there. Senior year, we end up doing like an internship and like a thesis about like some specific issue. So the one that like really stood out to me and made me want to major was affordable housing in California, these issues that affect like people's lives greatly. Yeah, I just feel really invested in them.
How long have you been working on this sonata?
I worked on it for on and off periods of time. I learned the first movement and spent a pretty long time on it when I was in 7th grade, actually. And then I set it aside for a bit until 10th grade. Yeah, competitions are definitely were like a big motivation for me to like prepare repertoire. And then I brought back the rest of the movements like in the middle of 11th grade. It was for the Yamaha USASU piano competition.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I had the honor of when I first placed that, actually. I wanted to bring that up because like I'm actually, what you're going to hear is the recording of me playing the last movement from the competition. I've had a very important teacher in my life here in San Diego, and her name is Mrs. Anessa Goodfin. And I studied with her from around, I was in 3rd or 4th grade up until around 7th grade, right around junior year, actually. I returned to Mrs. Goodfin. Yeah, I'd say Mrs. Goodfin really taught me like a lot about just like appreciating music and like the beauty of music and having this like personal kind of like connection or appreciation to the music, so that you can bring it to others. Yeah, that's really like the purpose of what we're doing, is to like bring these things that we love so much like out to other people.
Well said. Wait, pause for a sec. There's a fly. There's a mosquito.
That's not fun.
Oh, I got it! Kind of dark in my room, but I was lucky. Anyway, how have you had to work from home? And have you been having lessons over Skype or Zoom or anything?
In terms of like working from home, definitely a lot of stuff like took place through Zoom, including my lessons. The way that lessons worked is that like us students, we would record things before the lesson. Like we would record video and then submit that video, and then and then my piano professor. Gosh, I can't believe I didn't mention my current professor by name, Professor Jen Lee at Pomona College. Yeah. Also, really important figure. Like I feel terrible for like somehow overlooking that. It could be that we're like just like a little bit out of school right now. So
yeah.
She's been like super helpful through all of this, and always, just giving really great feedback, and also like instilling this like passion and appreciation for music, and just like the community of like piano players at Pomona. She kind of conducted our lessons this way. And then while school was happening, and even now, like I just made sure, although it was really difficult for like a solid, I think like 2 or 3 weeks since I came home, to kind of like realize the need for like having a really structured and really like formalized kind of schedule, but it's really nice to use it as a reference. Like, oh, like between like this time and this time, like I could be doing this.
Yeah, that's great. What would you say about this particular movement, about like its role within the overall sonata, and just like what makes it unique, and maybe also what makes this, the overall sonata unique?
This sonata is nicknamed the Pastorale Sonata. Generally, I think as pianists, like we're kind of told to like take the nicknames with like some grain of salt, right? But I think like this nickname, it's one that I really have a hard time kind of like thinking of this sonata like without thinking of like the pictures or the associations with nature. In this movement, it's kind of like bringing this really exciting conclusion to the entire piece, and it's in this rondo form, right? The sonata rondo form. So we have like the main a main theme that gets repeated. So we have main theme and then new theme and then like main theme again, and then new theme, and then we kind of have that repeated again, like all of that, and then a coda, and then the coda is like super virtuosic. Yeah, that really is just like exciting. It just like sends everything home. What's definitely very special to me about this movement is the way that it suggests to me like certain things in nature. We have the theme in like a very high register of the piano. It sounds a lot like bird song, like just by virtue of like the register. The right hand like plays this melody, and then the left hand kind of joins in with the same melody. To me, it's always suggested kind of like maybe like a duet or like a dialogue between birds. There is, in fact, something like this, like in the Pastorale Symphony by Beethoven. Like in the second movement.
That particular movement also contains much more explicit bird song, especially at the very end. Well, this has been really great. Thank you so much for talking, and you shed some really wonderful insights on a lot of things within this sonata. So I'll see you around. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Take care.